Josh was voted the most overrated player by his peers as well. So there's certainly some credence.
Years of that.
From Shannon Sharp calling him overrated to Andrew Witworth blasting his sideline antics, Josh Allen's got no shortage of legendary critics. In this video, we're breaking down why so many football greats can't stand him, starting with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp, the Hall of Fame tight end who won 3 Super Bowl championships during his illustrious playing career and who has reinvented himself as one of the most outspoken and controversial voices in sports media, has emerged as perhaps Josh Allen's most vocal and relentless critic. The former Denver Broncos and Baltimore Ravens star, known for his no-nonsense approach and willingness to challenge popular narratives on platforms like First Take and his wildly successful podcast Club Shay Shay, has repeatedly labeled Allen as the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, a damning assessment that has echoed through the sports world like a thunderclap and sparked countless heated debates among fans and analysts alike. The genesis of Sharp's criticism can be traced back to a fundamental philosophy that permeates everything he believes about quarterback evaluation. Championships matter more than statistics, and protecting the football is paramount to sustained success. When Sharp looks at Josh Allen's resume, he doesn't see an elite quarterback ascending to greatness. Instead, he sees a talented player whose glaring weaknesses overshadow his undeniable strengths.
Redo that draft all over and teams knew what Lamar Jackson was, what pick you think he would have went?
You want me to lie? You want me to tell you the truth? I think if they redo this draft, I think they would take Josh Allen in front of Lamar. I don't know what else Lamar can do.
This moment perfectly encapsulates Sharp's perspective, even when discussing a hypothetical redraft scenario. His reluctance to fully embrace Allen as the superior quarterback speaks volumes about his reservations. In 2023, Allen threw 18 interceptions, tying for the league lead among quarterbacks and providing Sharp with statistical ammunition to support his narrative that Allen's turnover issues are not merely occasional lapses in judgment, but rather a fundamental flaw in his game that renders him unreliable when championships hang in the balance. Sharp has argued consistently and passionately that Allen benefits from playing in a weak AFC East division, where struggling teams like the post-Tom Brady New England Patriots, the quarterback carousel New York Jets, and the inconsistent Miami Dolphins provided Allen with opportunities to pad statistics without facing truly elite competition week after week. During the span from 2018 to 2023, the Bills dominated their division, winning it 5 times while often facing teams with losing records, which Sharp believes has inflated Allen's reputation beyond what his actual performance merits when matched against football's true elite.
Have to do is protect the football, because that's something that Josh Allen has never done. Right. On a consistent basis, he's never protected the football. And so now you're asking him to be something that he's never been since he's entered into the NFL. Yes, you're talking about a guy that's 6'6", 250 pounds, has a laser for an arm, can make every throw on the field. He can run, he can use his leg, he's extremely athletic. But those are the things that get him in trouble, because he thinks he can throw a football through a hurricane. And he's always attempting to do something in a situation that he shouldn't or doesn't have to do.
This critique cuts to the heart of what Sharp perceives as Allen's fatal flaw, the inability or unwillingness to protect the football consistently, combined with an overconfidence in his physical abilities that leads him to attempt throws and make decisions that more measured, championship-caliber quarterbacks would never consider. The feud between Sharp and Allen escalated significantly when Sharp doubled down on his criticisms, despite Allen's strong performances in subsequent games, refusing to back away from his position, even as Bills Mafia mobilized against him on social media platforms.
Doesn't matter how great you are, can you get done what you need to get done when you absolutely have to have it? When they absolutely needed to get the ball in the end zone, did he do it? Forget the stats. When it comes down to it, Patrick Mahomes somehow is able to make the plays that Josh Allen cannot make in moments. It comes down to moments. And what made Brady so great is that when the moments needed him to rise to the occasion, not only did he rise, he surpassed what we even thought he could get to. And that is where Patrick Mahomes is different than Josh Allen. When we need Josh to be at his absolute best, he came up small.
This comparison to Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady reveals the standard by which Sharp judges Allen, not against average quarterbacks, but against the absolute greatest to ever play the position, players who elevated their games when the spotlight burned brightest. Sharp's perspective is informed by his own experience as a champion who understands what it takes to win when everything is on the line. As a 3-time Super Bowl champion, Sharp has earned the credibility to make these judgments, and his critiques stem not from hatred or bias, but from a championship mentality that values winning above all all else. When Allen's defenders point to his impressive regular season statistics, 4,306 passing yards and 29 touchdowns in 2023, Sharp counters with a simple question. Where are the rings? Where are the AFC Championship game appearances? Why can't he beat the best teams when it matters most? These questions continue to fuel the debate and ensure that Sharp remains Allen's most prominent and persistent critic in the media landscape. Keshan Johnson. Keshan Johnson, the former #1 overall pick in the 1996 NFL Draft and current FS1 analyst on Speak, has established himself as one of Josh Allen's most consistent and vocal critics, though his approach differs significantly from the bombastic styles of Sharp and Bayless. Johnson, who won Super Bowl XYZ with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and who famously wrote the tell-all book, Just Give Me the Damn Ball, during his playing days, brings a unique wide receiver's perspective to his Allen criticism, focusing specifically on the quarterback's hero ball mentality that Johnson views as fundamentally reckless and ultimately destructive to winning championship football. The term hero ball, which Johnson has used repeatedly to describe Allen's playing style, refers to the quarterback's tendency to force big plays, attempt low percentage throws into tight coverage, and rely on his extraordinary physical gifts to bail himself out of dangerous situations rather than taking the safe, smart play that a more measured quarterback would choose. Johnson has argued that this approach creates an offense that is Josh or bust, meaning that everything flows through the quarterback making spectacular plays, and when those plays don't materialize, when defenses successfully contain his improvisational abilities, the entire offensive structure collapses without a sustainable alternative plan. Johnson's criticism reached a fever pitch in January 2025 before the Bills' playoff matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, when he delivered a rant on Speak that would become one of the most viral moments of his broadcasting career. He claimed the game would be the easiest for Ravens DC Zach Orr because defensive coordinators could simply double Josh Allen and it's over. The offense has no oxygen without him. This assessment suggested that Allen's hero ball tendencies were not just a stylistic choice, but rather a strategic vulnerability that elite defensive minds could exploit by focusing their entire game plan on neutralizing the quarterback's ability to create chaos, forcing him into situations where the supporting cast would need to step up, something Johnson clearly didn't believe they were capable of doing. Perhaps the most memorable moment in Johnson's anti-Allen campaign came during a December 2023 episode of Undisputed, when Richard Sherman argued that Allen was more valuable to the Bills than Lamar Jackson was to the Ravens. Johnson became so frustrated with Sherman's statistical arguments that he literally stormed off the set, later doubling down on social media and radio appearances that Allen's turnovers disqualified him from MVP consideration regardless of his touchdown totals. This viral moment crystallized Johnson's position. Statistics without context are meaningless, and Allen's propensity for game-changing mistakes overshadows whatever positive contributions he makes to Buffalo's offense. Interestingly, when the Bills actually defeated the Ravens 28-25 in their January 2025 playoff matchup, with Allen throwing for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns without turning the ball over, Johnson was forced to eat crow, but he pivoted his criticism rather than abandoning it entirely. See, when he plays smart, he's elite, but he reverts to hero ball too often, Johnson said, essentially arguing that Allen's problem isn't his ceiling, which everyone acknowledges is extraordinarily high, but rather his consistency in decision-making, which remain questionable even after proof-of-concept performances like the Ravens' victory. For Johnson, one game doesn't erase years of concern about Allen's fundamental approach to playing quarterback at the championship level. Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark, the former Pittsburgh Steelers safety and Super Bowl champion, who has transitioned into one of ESPN's most prominent analysts and co-host of the Pivot podcast, occupies a unique and somewhat complicated position in the Josh Allen criticism ecosystem. Unlike Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, or Keshan Johnson, Clark has actually been one of Allen's most consistent defenders in media circles, frequently pushing back against harsher critics and highlighting the quarterback's elite physical tools and playmaking ability. However, Clark's praise often comes with significant caveats that some fans and analysts have interpreted as backhanded compliments, positive words wrapped in layers of qualification that ultimately undermine the complimentary message.
We want to come here and we want to defend Josh Allen. You don't have to defend him. Yeah. You can say straight up, Josh Allen is an absolute dude. Right. Josh Allen has shown up for this team when he's needed to, except for when he's needed to most. At some point, Josh Allen is going to have to beat the other great quarterback quarterbacks in the AFC. At some point, y'all gotta say he's coming up short. We don't say Tom Brady is the greatest of all time because he's the most talented. But in part, it's because he's the best when he needs to be the best. I'm not blaming the loss on Josh Allen. You know what the greats are? The reason the team wins. And for Josh Allen, I don't care. It does not matter that he played well. What matters is that he's at his house. That's what matters.
During Allen's historic 2024 season, when he went 0 interceptions through the first 7 weeks and ultimately won the MVP award with only 6 interceptions all season, Clark praised the growth and maturation, while simultaneously warning that Allen's DNA is aggressive and that he remained inherently riskier than Patrick Mahomes despite the dramatically improved ball security numbers. Clark's perspective on Allen is informed by his background as a defensive back who won a Super Bowl with the 2008 Pittsburgh Steelers elite defense, a unit that understood better than most that championship football comes down to possessions, and that quarterbacks who gift the opposing team extra opportunities through turnovers are playing with fire regardless of how spectacular their highlight reel throws might be. When Clark evaluates Allen, he sees a quarterback with the most exciting QB to watch factor, someone whose wow plays and ability to create something from nothing makes him appointment viewing every Sunday, but also someone whose high variance style creates volatility that championship caliber teams cannot sustain over the course of a deep playoff run against elite competition.
Patrick Mahomes came in there, he walked in your trap, and he took over your trap. At some point, Josh Allen is going to have to beat the other great quarterbacks in the AFC. Everybody else, the other quarterbacks, we're 5-0. 0-3 against Patrick, 0-1 against Joe, and the one against Joe is at our crib. At some point, y'all gotta say he's coming up short. We don't say Tom Brady is the greatest of all time because he's the most talented. But in part, it's because he's the best when he needs to be the best.
The controversy around Clark's Allen takes exploded on social media because they represent what many perceive as having it both ways, praising Allen as elite while simultaneously suggesting he's fundamentally less reliable than his primary competition for the best quarterback in the AFC title. When Clark describes Allen's style as high variance, sexy when it hits, deadly when it doesn't, he's making a statistical observation about the boom or bust nature of Allen's game. But to Bills fans who have watched their quarterback evolve and mature, it sounds like Clark is refusing to acknowledge the growth that has occurred, clinging to outdated narratives about interceptions, even as Allen dramatically reduced his turnover rate. Clark's complicated relationship with Allen criticism continued into 2025, when after the Bills defeated the Ravens in the playoffs, he declared that Josh just proved he's unlocked a new level. No turnovers, pure dominance, seeming to finally embrace Allen without qualification. Yet the caveat-laden nature of his previous praise had already done its damage, establishing a narrative that Allen needed to constantly prove himself against the "is he really elite or just exciting?" question that dogs few other quarterbacks with his resume. For Bills fans, Clark represents the frustrating phenomenon of conditional praise, support that evaporates the moment Allen has a bad game, replaced by "I told you so" reminders about the risky nature of his playing style. Stefon Diggs. The relationship between Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs represents one of the most fascinating and ultimately tragic partnerships in recent NFL history, a connection that produced extraordinary statistical success and transformed the Buffalo Bills offense into one of the league's most dynamic attacks, but which ultimately deteriorated into dysfunction, mutual frustration, and an acrimonious separation that continues to reverberate through both franchises. While Diggs has never launched a direct public assault on Allen's character or abilities in the way that media personalities have, his controversial exit from Buffalo and subsequent comments have been interpreted by many as implicit criticism of Allen's leadership and playing style. Diggs was traded to the Bills in March 2020 from the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for a haul of draft picks that included the first-round selection that would become Justin Jefferson, a trade that immediately transformed Buffalo's receiving core and unlocked Josh Allen's potential as a passer. The partnership produced immediate and spectacular results. In 2020, 2020, Diggs led the NFL with 127 receptions and 1,535 yards, while Allen threw for 4,544 yards and 37 touchdowns, earning his first Pro Bowl selection and leading the Bills to their first playoff victory in a quarter century. For the next 3 seasons, the Allen-Diggs connection would be one of the most productive in football, with Diggs consistently surpassing 100 catches and 1,200 yards, while Allen ascended into the conversation as one of the league's premier quarterbacks. However, beneath the surface of statistical success, tension was building that would eventually explode into public view and tear apart one of football's most successful partnerships. The first public crack appeared in October 2022 during a Week 6 game against the Kansas City Chiefs, when cameras captured Diggs screaming on the sideline at Allen, and later in the tunnel post-game shouting, "I don't know what the that was," while looking directly at his quarterback. While Diggs downplayed the incident at the time, it represented the beginning of a pattern that would repeat itself with increasing frequency and intensity. Visible frustration from Diggs about his role in the offense, his target share, and what he perceived as Allen's tendency to freelance and abandon the structured passing attack in favor of hero ball improvisation. The situation reached a breaking point in January 2023 when the Bills were embarrassed 27-10 at home by the Cincinnati Bengals in the divisional round. Diggs finished with a paltry 4 catches for 35 yards, and cameras captured him yelling at Allen on the sideline, "What am I supposed to do?" before storming off the field before teammates and confronting offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey in the locker room, requiring physical restraint from coaches to prevent the situation from escalating further. The immediate aftermath saw Diggs leave the facility without speaking to coaches and skip mandatory minicamp in June 2023, incurring $1.7 million in fines and prompting head coach Sean McDermott to publicly state that he was very concerned about the situation. Behind the scenes, according to reporting from The Athletic's Tim Graham, Diggs had grown increasingly frustrated with what he perceived as the Josh Allen ball offensive philosophy. Too much improvisation, not enough structure, and a quarterback who held the ball too long and freelanced too much, rather than getting receivers like Diggs quick rhythmic targets in space where they could create after the catch. The trade finally came in April 2024, with Buffalo sending Diggs to the Houston Texans for a 2025 second-round pick while eating $27 million in dead cap space, a massive financial hit that the Bills were willing to absorb just to remove the toxicity from their locker room. General Manager Brandon Beane's post-trade comment that, "Sometimes you gotta make tough decisions. We felt it was addition by subtraction," spoke volumes about how dysfunctional the situation had become, suggesting that Diggs' presence had become more harmful than helpful regardless of his on-field production. Andrew Witworth. Andrew Witworth's criticism of Josh Allen represents a fascinating case study in how even defenders can inadvertently become critics when their honest assessments clash with fan expectations and media narratives. The former 16-year NFL left tackle, who won Super Bowl LVI with the Los Angeles Rams and transitioned seamlessly into his role as Amazon Prime Video's Thursday Night Football lead analyst, built his reputation as the adult in the room, a calm, old-school voice who avoided trash talk and focused on substantive football analysis rather than hot takes designed purely for engagement. However, his October 2024 comments about Allen's interactions with officials crossed a line for many Bills fans, transforming Witworth from respected analyst into yet another critic in their eyes. The catalyst for Witworth's criticism was the Buffalo Bills' October 6, 2024 game against the Houston Texans, a 23-20 Houston victory in which Allen was sacked 4 times and hit 11 times total, with 2 particularly egregious no-calls going viral on social media. A third-quarter face mask grab by Texans defensive end Will Anderson Jr. that spun Allen down without a flag, and a fourth-quarter full bodyweight land by Danielle Hunter that also went uncalled, despite appearing to violate the quarterback protection rules. Allen immediately jumped up after both plays, arms outstretched, screaming at side judge Tony Corrente's crew, with cameras catching him yelling, "That's a penalty every time," and "How is that not roughing?" On the October 9th, 2024 episode of the Fits and Wits podcast, the Wednesday show co-hosted by Witworth and his former teammate Ryan Fitzpatrick that launched in August 2024 and quickly became a top 10 football podcast on Spotify. Witworth delivered an assessment that would generate over 9.4 million views in 48 hours and become the #1 trending sports topic on X for 14 consecutive hours. At timestamp 41:22, responding to Fitzpatrick's comment that Josh was hot about those no calls, man. I get it. Those were brutal hits. Witworth shook his head and unloaded, "I'm tired of seeing them turn to the ref and beg for the calls, though. At this point, you're so protected. Enough's enough. Don't ask for any calls. Like, it's enough. It's a bad look. You saw that with Josh Allen. I don't know what happened, but immediately he looks over like this. You're throwing for 400 yards. You're throwing for 5,000 yards. What else do you want? The reaction was immediate and explosive. Bills Mafia went nuclear on social media, with Josh and Fire Witworth trending in Buffalo, despite the impossibility of fans actually influencing Amazon's personnel decisions. Someone mailed Witworth a box of tissues to Amazon Studios, and Bills sideline reporter Sal Capaccio clapped back publicly, "Easy for a guy who never played QB to say." The controversy forced Witworth to address it again on Thursday Night Football pregame on October 10th, where he doubled down. "I stand by it. Josh is MVP level, but the whining has to stop. Officials told me privately they're sick of it." Additionally, Witworth's perspective was shaped by his presence at the stadium for the Bengals-Bills playoff game in January 2023 that was canceled after Damar Hamlin's cardiac arrest, a traumatic moment that, according to sources close to Witworth, reminded everyone how violent this game is and how protected QBs already are. This experience reinforced his belief that modern QB rules have gone too far, and that Allen embodies an entitled attitude that takes these protections for granted while simultaneously demanding even more preferential treatment from officials. Throughout the 2024 season, Amazon's internal communications reportedly included producers telling the booth, "We can't keep ignoring Allen's tantrums. It's every drive," suggesting that Witworth's frustration had been building for weeks before finally exploding in the podcast format, where he felt more comfortable speaking candidly. His use of the word petulance, defined as childish sulkiness or bad-tempered behavior, struck a particular nerve because it attributed Allen's complaints not to legitimate grievances about officiating, but rather to an immature, entitled mindset that expects preferential treatment simply because of his status as a star quarterback. Klay Matthews III. If Andrew Whitworth's criticism represented an offensive lineman's perspective on Josh Allen's referee interactions, Klay Matthews III brought the defender's viewpoint, and the resulting commentary carried even more weight given Matthews' personal history with controversial roughing the passer calls that nearly derailed his career. The former Green Bay Packers linebacker and six-time Pro Bowler, now a recurring co-host on the Fitz and Wits podcast, echoed and amplified Whitworth's critiques in September 2025, adding his own experiences as a pass rusher who suffered through the league's overcorrection on quarterback protection rules to devastating personal and professional effect. Matthews' NFL career was defined by 91.5 career sacks and a Super Bowl XLV championship, but it was also marred by the infamous 2018 season when he was repeatedly flagged for roughing the passer on what he considered perfect form tackles, becoming the poster child for the league's controversial new bodyweight rule implementation. Week 2 against the Vikings saw a clean sack on Kirk Cousins flagged. Week 3 against Washington, another clean hit on Alex Smith drew a flag. Week 5 against the Lions, yet another textbook tackle resulted in a penalty that cost the Packers the game. Matthews went on a media tour calling the rule embarrassing and unplayable, and NFL VP of officiating Al Riveron actually used Klay's hits in training videos as examples of what not to do, a humiliating experience that left lasting bitterness. On the September 11th, 2025 episode of Fitz and Wits, approximately 52 minutes into the show, Matthews joined the conversation about quarterback complaints after the Bills' season-opening 28-25 loss to the Baltimore Ravens featured multiple viral no-calls on hits to Allen. When Witworth reiterated his position that he was tired of seeing them turn to the ref and beg for the calls, Matthews nodded vigorously and delivered his own assessment. "You saw that with Josh Allen." "Exactly. Like, come on, man. You're the biggest, strongest dude out there. You run linebackers over for fun, but every time you get touched, it's Oscar-worthy. As a defender, that used to drive me insane. We'd hit QBs clean, textbook, and they'd flop around like we just ended their career. Then the flag comes flying because they sold it. I got flagged 3 times in 2018 for perfect hits because QBs were already teaching officials to expect the drama." Josh takes it to another level with the arms up. The "what about me" face. It's unsportsmanlike. Just play. The clip achieved 11.3 million views in 72 hours and became the #2 trending sports topic behind only Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 club achievement. Matthews' criticism carries unique credibility because he's speaking from the position of someone who was victimized by the very rules that now protect quarterbacks like Allen. His characterization of Allen's reactions as Oscar-worthy and the complaint behavior as unsportsmanlike resonated particularly strongly with defensive players across the league who feel handcuffed by rules that have made it nearly impossible to play aggressive pass rush without risking penalties. In leaked audio from a Packers Hall of Fame alumni Zoom call, Matthews said, said, "I'll say it to his face. Love Josh's game, hate the act," making clear that his criticism wasn't personal animosity, but rather principled opposition to a style of play he views as contrary to football's tough-minded ethos. Tony Romo and Jim Nance. The final entry in this catalog of criticism comes from perhaps the most unexpected source, Tony Romo and Jim Nance, the premier NFL broadcasting team on CBS, whose commentary during the November 2nd, 2025 Bills-Chiefs game provided what many consider the definitive on-air mockery of Josh Allen's tendency to exaggerate contact in hopes of drawing flags. Unlike the other critics examined in this piece, Romo and Nance are not known for controversial hot takes or personal feuds with players. They're consummate professionals who generally praise excellent play and avoid inflammatory commentary, which makes their live criticism of Allen all the more devastating in its implications. The moment occurred during Buffalo's 28-21 victory over Kansas City, the Bills' fifth straight regular season win over the Chiefs in a game that saw Allen throw for 273 yards and 3 total touchdowns. In the fourth quarter, with 9:42 remaining and Buffalo leading 21-14, Allen took a designed quarterback draw up the middle, gained 6 yards, and started his slide at the 50-yard line. Chiefs linebacker Nick Bolton ran past and barely grazed the side of Allen's helmet with his hand. No force, no helmet-to-helmet contact, but Allen dramatically snapped his head back like he'd been clotheslined, flopped to the turf, then immediately popped up grinning when no flag came. The replay showed 0 meaningful contact. Romo laughed and added, "Haley Steinfeld's teaching him well," a reference to Allen's actress-singer fiancée and their $7.2 million Hidden Hills home in the Los Angeles area. The exchange, lasting approximately 22 seconds, exploded across social media with 28.4 million views across platforms in 72 hours, making it one of the most viewed NFL broadcasting moments of the 2025 season. The hashtags Hollywood Allen, Now's Josh Flop, and Miles Romo cooking trended nationally, with even LeBron James quote tweeting the clip with "graduate of the theater school" and generating 47,000 likes. The moment was particularly impactful because it came from broadcasters who had called 8 of the 10 Mahomes-Allen matchups and had generally been among Allen's biggest on-air supporters, praising his arm talent, mobility, and competitive fire without reservation. Romo's personal history added weight to his criticism. As a quarterback from 2003-2016 who took 30-plus sacks per season without complaining, he embodied the pre-protection explosion era when quarterbacks were expected to take hits and move on without lobbying officials. In his 2024 autobiography, Romo wrote, "I never sold a hit. You take it and play. These guys today act like every graze is a crime scene," making his Allen criticism consistent with his broader philosophy about quarterback toughness and accountability. Allen's response in the post-game press conference showed he at least had a sense of humor about the moment. "I mean, I did almost get the flag. Worth a shot. Haley thought it was funny. She's the real actor in the family." However, the damage to his reputation was done. The clip has been stitched into over 180,000 TikTok videos and has become the go-to example whenever discussions arise about quarterback gamesmanship and the increasingly blurred line between competing for competitive advantages and outright deception. Thank you for watching. If you like this, check out the recommended videos by clicking the cards on your screen.